Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys in saying that this is a video that I never thought I would be making, but when I suggested a Q&A series on the Car Problems channel and 95% of the questions came back about this topic, I figured it was only fair for me to address it in a video. And I guess it's understandable that you guys would be curious, because this is something that I've kept a secret from you guys for a very long time now. And let me preface this whole video by saying that this is not me trying to brag or me trying to give business advice or certainly sell business advice. It makes me sick to see all these social media influencers that all of a sudden have become successful and now want to sell you the 3 tips to get rich for $20 a month. That's a complete scam. If you're paying somebody to tell you how to get rich, you're wasting your money. Trust me when I say that. But if you want to view this as some advice for yourself, or if this is motivational to you, or whatever it may be, take it for what it is. This is just what I did and why I did it throughout the years to get to the point where I'm at right now. Now, I'm not sure how many of you guys have found this channel organically, because Car Problems is still relatively new. If that is the case, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. But I have to imagine that a lot of the people following this channel at this point in time have filtered through from SR4U, which is the main channel that I've been doing on YouTube for the better part of just over 9 years now. SR4U being short for Soccer Reviews for You. And I realize this is a car channel. There's going to be a lot of reference to soccer stuff because it is a big part of my life and what I do as a job. So it's important for you to know that, to understand what I'm talking about here. So I guess I'll start by saying that I lived a pretty normal childhood. It wasn't until I was, I would say, 16 years old where my financial and family situation wasn't necessarily the most stable. I guess that's the best way to put it. But either way, I was 16 years old going to high school, and as soon as I was old enough, I got my first job. And looking back, it's the only job that I ever applied for and the only job I've ever worked where I actually worked for somebody else. And it was at a local soccer store selling soccer cleats, which has been a fascination of mine pretty much my entire life. Sports equipment in general, I would say more specifically soccer and hockey, because those were the 2 sports that I played. I just love the equipment. I love the idea of the technology and the design, and everything that made that soccer cleat different from the other ones is something that fascinated me. So getting a first job working at a soccer store, still playing at a pretty high level of soccer myself, was really a great opportunity for me, and I guess something that ultimately did kind of change my life. But my main motivation for working there was, 1, I just wanted to be around soccer cleats, and 2, I knew that if I worked at the soccer store, I'd be able to get discounts on all of the soccer cleats that I really wanted to own. And that's pretty much exactly what I did. For 2 years, I worked there, and for 2 years, I don't think that I saved a single penny of what I made, because every single paycheck I would spend at the store buying all these different soccer cleats, which I was getting at a discount, yes, but they were still really, really expensive. And over those 2 years, I got to try, I'm going to guess, maybe 20 different pairs of high-end soccer cleats, which is a lot for any 16, 17-year-old. But I came to realize from doing all of that that there was a huge difference from one shoe to the next in terms of quality, in terms of performance, in terms of what was just straight up good and what was just straight up bad. And whenever something new would come out, like a lot of people do now, I would try to seek out some kind of review, some kind of an information to help me justify my purchase. Is this good? Is this bad? And the information that I could find on the internet at that time was all very much kind of marketing based. It almost seemed like all the reviews were paid reviews or commercials and didn't really give any real information on what the boots were like and whether or not they were actually good or bad. So it was at that point in time that I decided that I was going to start my own website and start my own YouTube channel and do product reviews on soccer cleats. So instead of blowing my next paycheck on another pair of soccer cleats I didn't need, I went out and bought a camera that at the time I had absolutely no idea how to use, and I recorded my very first YouTube video, figured out how to edit it, and put it up on YouTube. And that first video went up on February 18th, 2011. I don't have a good memory. I actually just checked. That's how I know that. But it's a really bad video. Go back and watch it. It's actually kind of hilarious. The quality is brutal, which is the case of with a lot of YouTube videos that are now over 9 years old. I think my cat runs through the background. But basically all it is me holding a pair of soccer cleats in one hand, camera in the other hand, and just kind of showing all the different angles of it, because I figured that was better than just seeing still pictures. I didn't talk and I didn't show my face, and that's because I would accompany this YouTube channel with a website, which was soccerreviewsforyou.com. Those of you guys that watch the SR4U channel, you have probably heard me mention that website once or twice. And on that website, back in the early days, longtime followers will remember this, I would do these very long, detailed written reviews where I'd go over every possible category of the soccer cleat that I thought would matter, and I would spend between 3 to 6 hours writing these individual reviews for every single pair of soccer cleats that I wanted to review. And looking back, it's kind of funny because I think I spent more time and put more effort into those written reviews than I did any of my work in high school at the time. But I think that the quality is something that I really appreciate, and I think that the people that were following me back in those early days really understood and respected the quality that was put into these reviews. There was real information there, real opinions, and if a boot was bad, I would say it was bad. It was just straight up honesty, and I think a lot of people appreciated that. And let me be clear in saying that at the very beginning of SR4U, there was no money to be made. In fact, it was simply just costing me money. It was an excuse for me to, one, continue spending every single one of my paychecks on soccer cleats that I didn't need, and number two, and this was kind of the ultimate goal for me at 18 years old, just kind of shows you what I was thinking, is maybe I could get enough attention if I grew this audience big enough to where Nike or Adidas or a big soccer cleat brand would send me boots for free to do reviews on. That for me was the ultimate dream. And looking back, it's kind of funny because it was just sheer determination on my part because I really didn't have any extra time to do SR4U. I was still in high school, and my friends, I remember, as soon as I started picking up a little bit of an audience, I want to say maybe 5,000-10,000 subscribers within the first year or so, I thought it was really cool at the time. YouTube was still a relatively new thing, and I remember showing some of my friends who weren't interested in soccer, certainly weren't interested in soccer cleats, and they kind of just thought I was a little bit weird for doing what I was doing. But either way, most days I'd wake up, I'd go to school would end at 2:30, I'd get home by 3, get something to eat, be at the soccer store for 4 o'clock, finish my shift at 8, and then from 8 p.m., once I got home, I would make a video and write reviews whenever I actually had product to review that, again, I had to buy myself. So pretty much every single penny that I was making at this soccer store, and some of the money I was making from doing some one-on-one training, soccer training on the side, it was just all being put back into SR4U. Again, not with the idea that this could one day be a business for me, but with the idea that I just wanted more and more soccer cleats, and I wanted to put out this content because it was very cool to have this audience that was interested in my opinion on these shoes. So fast forward to about a year later, I'm now graduating high school and trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. And I think like a lot of high school kids, I honestly had no idea what I wanted to do, but I kind of had it in my head that maybe I would like to be a chiropractor for some reason. So I enrolled in university and I was taking human kinetics. And honestly, my heart was not in it. It's not something that I enjoyed doing. School in general wasn't necessarily for me. And I guess I just kind of had all of my energy and all of my thoughts in this SR4U thing that was slowly growing. And I kind of always had it in the back of my head that if I could grow it to this point from just doing it in my spare time, what could I do if I did this full time? Could I potentially turn this into a business for myself? So basically 2 weeks before the end of the first semester of university, right before exams, I dropped out. I just stopped showing up, and honestly that was a mistake on my part. I should have at least finished the first semester, but I didn't do that, and I just decided to do SR4U full time. So I continued working at this soccer store and trying to make all the money that I could possibly make. By this point, about a year and a half in, the YouTube channel is starting to make a little bit of ad revenue, so there's some extra money coming in that way. But regardless of all the money that was coming in, it was all being spent on product for me to actually continue making content on the channel. So at this point in time, I'm not making any money. What I realized very early on with SR4U and the type of content that I was making is that I wanted the channel to grow more and more, obviously, but I realized that it was only going to grow so quickly because the content I was making was not so much entertainment, but more so education. There's an entertainment aspect to videos in general, but it was unrealistic to expect that a 15-minute video talking about every little detail on a soccer cleat was ever going to get 1 million views every single time. That's just not going to happen. There's not enough people interested in what I do or what I'm talking about, which is totally understandable. So from that point forward, I realized that what I had to do in order for this to continue growing and to build my reputation was to gain the respect of the audience and really be as honest as possible. Have I been offered money to say good things about a product? Absolutely. Have I ever taken money to say good things about a product? Absolutely not. Have I been offered quite a bit of money to advertise stupid little things like keychains and just junk that nobody really wants and products that I don't believe in? Absolutely. Have I ever taken any of those deals? Absolutely not, because I feel like people continue to come back to my channel to hear these opinions that I express because they know that they're real opinions and I'm just saying what I think and nothing else. Regardless of whether you buy this shoe or this shoe, it doesn't really matter to me. It's just me sharing my brutally honest opinion, and I think the level of quality and detail that I express in my videos is something that people appreciate, and it's the reason why they continue to come back. And that to me is really cool about the audience that I've established on the internet, because there are 650 something thousand subscribers on the SR4U channel. There obviously aren't 650,000 people that watch every single video, but there's people that are subscribed and people that aren't subscribed that know whenever a new shoe comes out and they want to hear my opinion, they know to search SR4U and they come and watch a video of mine even though they haven't watched in 2 or 3 years. And when I see those comments saying, hey, I haven't watched this guy in a couple years, the videos are so much better now, that's something that is really cool to see and really does make my day, and it kind of reaffirms in my head that what I'm doing is to a quality standard that is to the best of my ability, and I feel like that's what makes people successful in business. If you are continuing to push forward and doing your very best and putting your best effort in, I think people see that, people recognize that, and that's how you continue to grow. It wasn't until about 2 years in, 2013, where the channel is now, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm going to guess between 20, 30, maybe 40,000 subscribers, which is very small by today's standards, but was actually a pretty decent size back in the earlier days of YouTube. Either way, I remember getting an email from Nike, and like I said, this is something that I kind of always dreamed of, being in contact with them and maybe them potentially sending me some free boots, but it was better than free boots. They were inviting me on a trip to Nike World Headquarters in Portland, Oregon, or technically Beaverton, Oregon, to go to the unveiling of a brand new shoe, which was the Nike CTR 360 Maestro 3, for those that care. It was one of the coolest things for me at what I would have been 20 years old at that point in time. And it was just surreal for a big brand like Nike to recognize what I was doing and invite me down there to basically be a part of this press event, which ultimately is not a big deal, but it was just a very cool experience for me. And it kind of made me realize that, hey, this is making a bigger impact on, I guess, the industry than I really realized. And at that point in time as well, I had started getting the attention of a bunch of different retailers who wanted to work with me to have links on the videos and on the website and wanted to give SR4U followers an extra discount on the boots, which I was all for. I just wanted to provide good quality information, real opinions, regardless of whether they were good or bad, and just give people, I guess, the best possible guidance in regards to what was going to be the best product for them and what they should and shouldn't spend their money on. So once I was able to establish somewhat of a reputation and build a big enough audience to where brands and different companies really cared about the platform that I had created, it was a lot easier for me to gain access to product. And honestly, from there, that's when the channel really grew significantly, because it was no longer a struggle for me to get all of this product to do content. And content is basically what I did. I hate the cliche of hard work pays off, but that is ultimately what happened, because I want to say for 5, 6, maybe even 7 years from that point forward, I put a video up on YouTube every single day. That is a ridiculous amount of content, and looking back, I honestly don't know how I did it, but if you look at the SR4U channel right now, I believe there are over 3,000 videos, which is quite frankly astonishing. It blows my mind. I'm just thinking in my head how many hours of editing alone that is, and it's got to be like an entire year's worth of time spent sitting in front of a computer editing, which is totally ridiculous to me. But these are all things that I didn't go to school for. I just kind of learned how to do it as I was doing it. And I think if you look at the videos over the course of the last 9 years, they get progressively better and better and better, mainly because I was kind of learning on the fly. And then of course there's SR4U laces, available at sr4ulaces.com. That came about in 2014, maybe early 2015. I don't remember the exact year, but that was a project that came about in 2014 when Nike started releasing these kind of sock boots, these mid-cut Flyknit uppers, and the boots for whatever reason just came with these super thin laces, and there were a lot of issues with people snapping laces. And it was at that point in time I realized, along with a lot of other people, that there were no good replacement laces out there made specifically for soccer cleats. So again, not really having any experience with having my own product, but that kind of always being in the back of my head that it would be really cool to have my own product in the space that I'm doing product reviews in, but I also didn't want to have something that was going to have a bias. Laces are basically just shoelaces. They work or they don't work. It's not really a performance product, where if I had my own soccer cleat as an example, if it wasn't very good and I was saying good things about it, it kind of wrecks my credibility. So laces just seemed like the perfect opportunity for me to have my own product. I made sure that the quality was on point, and the quality is just as good, if not better, I would say, than the laces that come stock on Nike and Adidas and boots from these big brands. So that was never an issue for me, and I always wanted that product, if I was ever going to have one, to be as affordable as possible, which I feel like SR4U laces are extremely fair in terms of their price and very affordable. I mean, you can get a single pair of laces for $4. It's relatively inexpensive. So that's kind of how SR4U laces came about, and that's grown a pretty tremendous amount from there. But that alone has not been the driving force in my success, unlike what a lot of people like to point out in the comment section. What I'll also say is I've been working on some other big projects behind the scenes. A lot of them I think will actually launch in 2020. So you'll get to hear about those relatively soon, and I'm actually very excited to tell you about them. The Car Problems channel as an idea is one that I've been floating around in my head for the better part of 4 years or so, but I just kind of avoided launching it based on the fact that, one, I was busy, and also that I just wasn't sure how people would receive it, because I feel like we live in a society right now that's very much about flexing things that you have and looking rich or whatever it may be. And honestly, it's never been about that for me, and I hope that that comes across in my videos. Cars are something that I'm able to afford because I've worked to put myself in a position to afford them, and it's something that I own not because I want to take pictures with them, but because I legitimately enjoy it. And I think that a lot of the experiences that I've had over the last 3 or 4 years with the cars that I've owned, it's a bit of a shame that I haven't documented what I've been doing with the cars, given the fact that I am able to document it with the camera abilities and YouTube skills that I have. So that's why Car Problems now exists. It's the motivation for it is to share the experience with you guys, and hopefully this is something that can grow into something a little bit more in the future. At this point in time, it is kind of just a side project for me, but it's one that I really enjoy doing, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. And that's pretty much the story up until this point, guys. If you want my general advice when it comes to business, I think what makes somebody successful is, one, you have to be a motivated person, and motivation is going to have a lot to do with what you're doing. If you are working a job that you don't really enjoy, I understand why it would be hard to be motivated, but you also have to have an aspiration to do something else if you're not happy in your current situation, and you have to be willing to do what it takes to put yourself in a position to work on that thing that you're aspiring to do, right? I was working at the soccer store, a minimum wage job. I could have just stayed doing that and eventually got a little bit of a raise and maybe still be there to this day working at that soccer store, but I decided that one day I was going to go and buy a camera, I was going to learn how to edit, I was going to figure out how to be on camera, I was going to figure out how to talk, figure out how to write, figure out how to edit a website, figure out how to do all of these things that I didn't know how to do. But if I didn't actually go out and try it myself and learn how to physically do it, who knows where I would be today. So don't wait around and I guess hope that some huge opportunity is going to fall in your lap, because that's quite simply not how the real world works. There's so much free information out there these days that you can pretty much learn how to do anything over the internet. It's just a matter of actually doing it, because you can research and learn all you want, but until you actually go and do it yourself, you're never really going to know what that's like, and you're really not going to improve at that thing until you actually do it. So for me, I think that if you have a business idea or have an idea of any kind, what's super, super important is the quality and I guess dedication that you have to that particular thing. You can't really expect a huge amount of success right away. It really is a grind. You have to continue to work at it. But whether it's content, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, if you are offering something of a certain quality standard that people appreciate and respect and trust, I think that there is opportunity for that business to grow. And that's really what you have to work on if you're trying to do something on your own. Anyways, guys, that's it for what was kind of a rambly video, but this is what you guys wanted. So hopefully you enjoyed. More content coming on the Car Problems channel very, very soon. Winter is almost over, thank God. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit that little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.